And I remember hitting a ball flush one time.
There we go.
That's when just the fascination just took over. You know what I mean?
Welcome to Fitted, presented by Badlands. We're here with Paterson, New Jersey native Victor Cruz, New York Giants legend.
Here, man.
Easy.
Excited for the full back fitting.
Yeah, let's do this.
It's not from the Masters. This is like in the Augusta Pro Shop. Great dude, and he like has a friend that he's played Augusta like I don't know 6 times. He said, and he has a friend that's a member, and every time he knows he's going to play, he's like, "Yo, I need 6 pair of gloves. Like, just ship them up here. Like,
Wow.
Go buy them and shit. And send them over."
So you just come to a fitting with a master's glove that no one can get.
Pretty much. And now I'm just it's going away. After the fitting is going in the bag and not coming out. Okay.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's your carry though, that 180. And that's the number we'll look at as we go. Like that rollout is all relative. We're just gonna work at carry number, launch angle, ball speed, club head speed, and spin rate. That be the miss, toey?
That's the miss.
Okay, and on the golf course, we can't see it here because the mat, is it a little heavy or?
A little heavy.
A little heavy and toey. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're just gonna start standard lie angle. I'm gonna give you something to try to drop spin just a little bit. So right now you're at like 76. That's not super, super high. I'd like to see it kind of around 7.
Okay.
So we're gonna see what we can do with a little less spin profile in the shaft. It's the same head you're playing it right now, and then we'll adjust the lie angle. Originally I was gonna go with like a more flat based on your ball flight, but then we actually started to fade it a little bit. So I want to start standard and then we'll kind of manipulate and go from there.
You got way more distance.
Right, but we got to be careful, right? Because we don't want we don't want to start getting gaps in your golf bag, right? So 180 is enough for a 7 iron.
Right.
If we could drop that spin just a little bit, like when you play and if you hit it in the wind, will you see your ball balloon up a little bit, or does it still kind of penetrate through?
It still kind of penetrates through.
Okay.
It doesn't balloon much.
Okay.
Not with the iron.
Okay.
That's the driver though.
All right. Let's make a little change for shaft. Okay. It's just a little inconsistent. Like we've jumped down to 65, then gone up to 78 and even to 8. So that tells me it's just kicking a little bit too much. So we're gonna stay in X-Flex, your X-Flex through and through.
Okay.
We're just gonna go to something a little bit firmer.
Okay.
So within our shaft profiles, even though it's X, some can be softer or firmer than others and they have different kick points. So
Okay.
this should feel a little bit firmer and closer to what you have in now. Let's find a shaft we like, and then we'll throw in, an MC head or a CB head to see what we get. That's where I want it to be from a spin number. You liking the profile of the shaft? Like, does it feel?
I do.
Okay. So what you're gonna be looking at here, a little smaller club head, a little thinner top line, and not gonna be as forgiving. If you talk about the sweet spot right now, we're going from, let's call it a nickel to a dime.
Okay.
So your sweet spot gets a little bit
Got it.
smaller.
Got it.
You're an athlete, you're competitive, so my man's gonna wanna hit this.
Let's go.
And it's gonna look better.
Buttery.
Okay,
Nice.
we like that.
That was
We like that.
That felt like I just chopped through cheese with that one.
The numbers are great, right? But what I like to see, even on the screen, and we would see this outside, is the peak height is just higher, right? So it's gonna come down and land a little bit softer. And you were talking about like holding greens earlier. I heard you talking about that. That shot every time, I don't care where you're playing, is gonna hold the green. That's what the tour pros do so well. They hit it high and soft and it lands and sits. It doesn't matter where they're playing, how firm the greens are. That's key to us kind of having good distance control with our irons. And that's where you're kind of falling. So where my mind is going with you is a combo set.
Yeah.
And go 4, 5, 6 iron in the 770 and then 7 through pitching wedge in the MCs.
I like that.
What's your favorite brands in your rotation to wear on a golf course?
Love Mall Bomb. I love the new Kith TaylorMade collabo stuff. Students golf is always top of the list as well. What else? I mean, I love FootJoy from a footwear perspective, like, and I love the juxtaposition of like streetweary up top and then like a FootJoy classic on the bottom. Something about like that balance I love for some reason. And I always just try to carry that kind of like new age but old school balance every time I kind of step out on the course, which is always fun. But those are my favorites. Jalen Berg is one of my favorites. Who else? I mean, there's so many that are just popping up out of nowhere now too recently that I just love. But those are the core. That's the core. Eastside Golf, obviously.
Of course.
Those are my guys. Those are the core of what I wear on a daily basis. Even off the course, like I like wearing it on lifestyle too.
What's next? What's most important next?
Let's look at driver.
Driver? Okay. Likes, dislikes.
So likes, I like that it's a high ball flight.
Okay.
But I don't think it launches enough.
Okay.
It doesn't go out as much as I would like it to.
Okay. So more ballooning up in the air, doesn't take off like an airplane, hit its apex and come down, kind of a higher flight to start. All right. Okay. So consistently across the board, spin rate's too high.
Yeah.
So that's what gives us that balloony launch, okay? Could be two things, the head style and the loft. When we add loft, we get more spin, right? So we're gonna mess around with loft to start, but it could be a combination of maybe we made an adjustment to the shaft to get the loft where we needed to be, but right now at 34, that's too high. I wanna see that, if we can dial that in from like 22 to 25, that's perfect. Your launch at 15.4 is a touch high, so we're gonna build you up something, launch a little bit lower and spin a little bit less. But hit like 2 more with that while we get that built up. Kind of in between our LS and our max, what you're playing here, I'm just starting you at 10.5 degrees aloft. All right, so we're dropping it down a click, and then a shaft with a little bit firmer profile that shouldn't spin quite as much, okay? What about the club itself? Like, does the weight feel okay?
Weight feels great.
Okay.
I love the setup on this. Obviously, like my grip is obviously a little bit bigger, so.
So do me a favor, choke down like ½ inch, just a hair. Yep, right there. I'm gonna make a little adjustment to the sleeve here. Because if we can get you to eliminate that right and launch it a little bit lower, a little less spin, that's gravy train. That's where we want to be. All right, launch is where we want it. Just spinning too much still. So drop that down, like anywhere between 11 and 13 is good. So if we can stay there and drop that.
Okay.
Stock used to be 45. Now we're at 45 3/4. Okay. So a lot of our tour guys are 44 and a half, 45, gotcha. 45 and a half, maybe some of them. So choking down, the most important part is centerness of contact, right? We want to hit that center. So I would probably go a little bit shorter with you. So keep choking down just a touch on that. Because that lowered the flight. The other ones were fading right rough, right trees. This one kind of held its line a little bit longer. More of like a...
I had more control of it.
Club path's a little bit left, face slightly open. So that's where we're getting that ball flight from. So I'm gonna put this into an upright setting, which will help close it about 4 degrees so we can see if it'll limit that. Now, I want you to play a fade with your driver. If this starts going left, we call an audible and we're out of that one. Because the face was closed, started a little bit left, then faded back, that saved us over here.
Exactly.
Right? Are you seeing that same thing?
Same exactly.
Okay. Much better. Much better. So
you would cut this down a little bit?
So I'd have you play at probably 45.
Because this is what?
45 and 3/4.
Okay, yeah.
So I'd go 45 and I would tip it an inch at the bottom.
Okay.
That's going to make it a little bit firmer, right? So that will probably drop our spin down to like that 25 range.
Exactly.
And then that's right where we need to be, but we're not losing that as much, right?
Exactly.
So that's the move. A little bit shorter.
Love that.
Tip it an inch.
Perfect.
Okay. 3-wood?
3-wood.
You got enough swings left?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm warm now.
Good juice. Explain to me how a wide receiver from the New York Giants discovers golf.
That's a good question. It was actually, well, I had two reasons, right? One was I had a very close friend who played golf like every day and was just always trying to get me on it, trying to get me on the course. And I was just like, bro, I'm not waking up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. to like drive to a golf course, to be out there 4 hours. Like I just don't have that type of time. And it took my daughter getting into it at 6 years old. And then, she was playing a couple years. And then around 8, 9 years old, right around COVID, I had recently retired. And a friend of mine was like, yo, you need to like you need to do something. You need to have a reason to wake up every day. You need to have a reason, something that's going to just keep you motivated every day. And I was like, all right, I'll give this golf thing a chance, right? Like, I went to my golf club, this club that was near me, just to take lessons. And I remember hitting a ball flush one time. And I was just like, I looked down at the ground, I looked up at the ball flight, I looked back down at the ground, I was like, I need to feel that 100 times. And then that's when just the fascination just took over, you know what I mean?
All right, let's go 3-wood.
Okay.
You got the 5-wood in your bag now.
Okay, yeah.
So this is same setup. Tour head with
Same shot.
the Ventus 7X with Velocore in it. So we'll start there. You said 5-wood now goes to 50-ish, somewhere in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
40, something like that.
So similar to what we were doing in the driver.
Yeah.
So let's go to the core one.
Okay.
Gonna be a little bit easier to hit, and like I said, not much, but just a slight draw bias. The difference is gonna be core, a little more forgiving, easier to get up in the air. Does have a slight draw bias to it, minimal, but it does versus the tour. So if we flip that over real quick, you'll see a little weight in the toe.
Gotcha.
That's fade bias.
Gotcha.
Right? So let's just see what we can do. We can make some changes to the settings, but let's start with tour and then we'll work into the core head. We'll hit both.
This one feels better.
Okay.
Like coming through the ball, this one feels a little better.
So a little bigger footprint, so probably giving you a little bit more confidence with that.
Exactly.
There you go. So I'm gonna get a little creative with the fitting process.
Okay.
We're gonna slide this weight all the way forward.
Okay.
That's gonna put more mass behind the face, more ball speed.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take it up just a click and loft.
Okay.
So try to get, we're not getting quite the jump in distance we want. We said your 5-wood, maybe now we're saying 135, 140.
Yeah.
So it's going about the same. So we're not gaining anything on this. So getting a little creative with the fitting process to see if we can achieve, if we can see that, get that 250 number and having that weight right behind the face, we should see a little bit of a jump in ball speed, and then that extra loft will get the ball up in the air. Just lose that one a little bit right just because of that little bit of fade bias on it. That was solid though, more ball speed for sure. There we go. So the next question is, where do you visualize you using this club?
I want to use this club on those short par 4s where I don't want to hit driver because that brings a lot into play.
Okay.
Something that's going to keep me in the fairway, still keep me with a full shot in, and something that I'm confident with on like a par 4 that I don't, driver's acting up that day and I want to just hit 3-wood and just be in play and just, play a little spot golf. Like I want to be able to do that.
Okay, so not necessarily a club into greens.
Correct.
Okay, so then this ball flight is good, right? Because it's a 250 rolling out to 262, that's controlled. If this is a club we are hitting into greens, we need to achieve a little bit of a higher peak to be able to hold that, right? So if this is gonna be kind of like, you got water out there at 260 or 270 and driver, you're kind of like, or it's a dog leg that you don't really like, this is something we can kind of squeeze out there. That's right at the number. We just need to see the consistency come from it. So let's hit a few more. You'll definitely get a little bit more pop off a tee. Too much?
I think so.
I went to it because it's similar to what you have in the 7-wood. You got the speed for sure.
Yeah. But that makes it a little bit more volatile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't want you, it's late around, you're on 17 or 18, and all of a sudden you got to swing this heavy 3-wood and you quit on it, and then we're in trouble. So I'm gonna go back to that original setup we had. We went a little bit heavier, didn't kind of get what we were looking for. So gonna just take it up a click and loft, and that'll help close the face a touch, and that weight's all the way forward on it. See if we can get that lower flight. So why not, this is just me asking, why not just hit the 5-wood off the tee? Like if it's going the same as this, so we're seeing a trend with less 3-woods, more 5, 7-woods, and even 9-woods. Like Tommy Fleetwood threw a 9-wood in the bag depending on the course because he can hit these high floaters, right? So the 5 at that 18 degrees aloft versus 15 gives you a little bit more launch, and it's just easier for you to hit. It's a shorter shaft, right? So 3-wood's the longest club in the bag that we hit off the deck. You would be using it off the tee, but what we're seeing is our dispersion is just a little bit all over. So it's like, are we adding something that we don't necessarily need? Right?
I think so.
So like if you want to hit it short of something that's 230, right, or 260, you can hit that 5-wood and you can swing away and you have the confidence. This, we don't have, like, it's probably too close to what we were doing with driver to warrant going there. So like you have the 5-wood, you have the 7-wood, and then you got that 4. We might be searching for something we necessarily don't need, right? If we were sitting here and we were striping it, it's a different story, right? But it's just something we might not need in the bag because we're not gaining anything out of it, right? I mean, give me one more, but I think that's...
No, I couldn't agree more.
Not enough there, my friend.
That's solid.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I feel good on that.
I know for me it changes from time to time depending on the day, where I'm playing, how I'm playing. What is your favorite club in the bag?
Ooh, favorite club in the bag? I gotta go, I like the wedges, my 54 degree, because I use those the most, right? And those are my scoring weapons, right?
Of course.
I need to make sure those are spinning, those are getting on the green, got a little action when they need it, and I just love hitting those and I just starting to figure out how to hit those little 60-yarders, which is those are shots you need to like get good scores, right? So like I'm just starting to figure out those shots really. So that's now golf's starting to get even more fun because I'm able to get those.
For your wedges, what wedges are you playing and what degrees with loft?
So I got 3 wedges. I got a 50 degree, a 54 degree, and a 58. And I love and a pitching wedge obviously, and I love just those are my perfect numbers. 58 gets me out of all the bunkers. I use my 54 degree for kind of everything else. That's kind of my 115. Take a little off, hit the 100 shot, and then the 58 is kind of that like anything under 100. I'm trying to get spin on it, trying to get it to sit on the green and sit still, have a little action. Like those are the 3 clubs. And then the 50 degree is like my 125, 130 club, full swing. Just get good contact.
What brand wedges are you using?
I'm using all TaylorMade high toes right now.
Okay.
I got with the 50 degrees more of a milk grind, normal 50, but the other 2 are high toes.
Got it.
Which I've had for a little. They're like my babies. They're like I go to sleep with them nestled up under the pillow. You know what I mean? Are we doing wedges?
We can.
Yeah.
we got the high toes in there now. Sounded like gaps were appropriate in 50, 54.
I want something that's gonna make sure spin. I feel like I don't get enough spin out of my like 54.
Okay, what golf ball do you play?
TaylorMade TP5X.
Okay, so that might be one.
Okay.
Golf ball.
Okay.
How old are the wedges?
All time.
Okay, so how many rounds a year do you play?
A lot of runs.
Okay, so would you say that those have more than 75 rounds in them?
Yes.
So every 75 rounds, you should be changing
Gotcha.
wedges.
I think
That's
fun. So the 50's newer.
Yeah.
50's probably like this fall.
Yeah.
And really just obviously since this summer is when I started playing it, putting it in the bag. But the 54 and the 58 had this for a while.
Okay, and it's time. And think about your 58. That's your bunker club, right? So that's going to wear faster than the rest of them.
Exactly.
So let's have you hit some 54s and 58s. Are you sold into high toe, or can we try some MG4? Okay. So we got an MG4. We got a 54 standard bounce, which is 11. Are you familiar with the bounces and grinds? And then, okay, yep. And then we have a 13, which might be a good idea for us.
Okay.
So let's start there. Let's have you hit the 54 13, get a couple cuts in with that, and I'm just gonna grab some 58s that we might need.
What wedge is that?
MG4.
Milgrind
54.
4. 54
Yep.
Milgrind 4.
Spin's good there. So that's your number, and then we're seeing the spin rate go up.
Yeah.
And this is, it's a PIX, but it is a TP5.
Exactly.
So you might lose, it's one of those give or takes, right? When we talk about the golf ball, most people don't get fit for the golf ball, which one is a mistake.
Exactly.
But you might lose a little bit of distance driver-wise, but if it's more spin control, we might be able to go to the 5. So talk to me about the interaction. That's got it's a 54-13 bounce. How does it feel with the interaction with the turf? Better?
It feels better. Definitely feels like nippier.
Okay,
than
that
the
spin.
10. Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
so that's good.
It feels like I'm hitting it clean, picking it. And
Okay.
It feels like it's getting up in the air and getting that spin.
If you were to go to that 75-yard shot,
Yeah.
would you hit the 58? Would that be the
I would hit
58 club?
58, yeah.
So the reason I ask you to do that is I want to see the interaction when we take a little bit off. Like, do we see this now all of a sudden, that nippiness? Does it go to a thud, right? That was kind of the goal there. So let's go back to full because we wouldn't hit that club. And we're going to go 54 standard bounce, which that has 11, yours has 10. So the MG4s will have a better feel than high toe.
That was like,
Kind of like that one,
yeah.
just from the sound.
Yeah, like there's a different feel. with
Mhm.
this
One more.
In the air.
Yeah,
Those are pretty consistent.
spin's good too. So when you get, I mean, we're doing it off mats, we're not seeing divot, but maybe we were getting those jumpers because the 54 with more bounce was bouncing into it more, and then that's what's creating that. So let's get one more clean one with that, and then we'll go to 58. So with your 58 around the greens, are you opening it up? Are you playing more of a square face? Do you play a flop shot? Like, talk to me about.
Well, yes to all of those.
Yeah.
But like mostly I hit that little 60-yarder kind of here, kind of getting it up in the air, trying to get some spin, mostly. But you know, in New Jersey, the rough is roughing out here.
Yeah.
So that's the
Okay.
open face to the rough, hitting it through.
Okay, what about bunker? You open it up quite a bit?
Correct.
Okay, will you hit a flop shot off a tight lie, or we kind of try to?
We're not doing that.
We're not
there.
We're not there yet?
Just
Okay,
yet.
so different grinds and different bounces, right? So you're gonna need something outside of the standard bounce because you seem to want to be versatile with it. So we have a standard bounce C, which has a little bit of a camber in the back here that rolls back. So when you do want to open this up, whether it's out of the rough, it'll still sit nice.
Gotcha.
The leading edge will stay down a little bit.
Okay.
And it's 9 degrees of bounce. We're going from 11 here. So let's get you to hit a few there. See how the interaction is with the mat, what you feel. Do you feel like the face is really grabbing the ball?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I can feel it just immediately on impact is picking the ball up.
Give you one more option quick. Low bounce 7. Gonna sit, you can even open this up a little bit more. Like if you want to, it's gonna sit flat. When you look at that back edge, it's great. Yep. So now the downside to this is the leading edge is gonna dig in a little bit more, and those fats that we talked about earlier could come more into play. That's why I like this, because it's got a little bit more relief to it. But let's hit 2 just to make sure we're checking all the boxes. So you got that one bladey?
Yeah.
So like right away, it's the same loft, but it's not the right club. So we're in the standard bounce C.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
Good.
Perfect.
Check all the boxes?
Check all the boxes.
All right. I think we're good. Brief summary of what we got. P770 456.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're gonna go CB 789 pitching wedge, Lionel standard, Project X 6.5, and then we talked about grip. You like the MCC with the blue, mid-size plus an extra wrap.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll do that. Irons through the wedges. Wedges, your 50's fine. We don't need to make a change to that. So we'll go into the MG4 and the 54 and the 58 and the bounces that we hit today.
Okay.
I saw you got a Giant stamp on there, so we'll see if we can get that Giant stamp on there.
Good.
And then the big change in the driver was going to the LS had the lower spinning model, closing the face a little bit, and then getting the right shaft profile to match your swing so that we're executing and getting the best launch conditions that we can. So that's kind of a summary of what we went through. Tell me a little bit about the experience and kind of what you took away from it.
Yeah, the experience was great. I think I was telling you before, I hadn't gotten fitted in a couple of years now, and the swing has changed. There's been an evolution in the swing since then. So I was excited for the driver switch up. I think I needed something with less spin and kind of get the ball out a little bit more. And then I think down to the irons, right? I think that's what was most important. That was my scoring irons to get on the green and have an opportunity to score well. So to have that combo now, and instead of having just the pure 770s, which sometimes when I hit it pure, it kind of takes off on me. Now I have a ball flight that can kind of get up in the air, land soft. And so yeah, it gives me that confidence when I'm out there to hit every club in the bag and hit them pure. And then now I can go out there and go low and be excited about my golf round. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.